Hey, it's Denise, the CEO of Access Design Studio. We are about ready to get you trained up to make sure that once we get your site accessible, someone doesn't add some content to it and kick it right out of accessibility. So here we have our accessibility training for content creators. So we're going to be sending you with this video all of the slide deck so you don't have to take notes. There'll be any of the links that appear in the slide deck will also be included at the end. So you can just sit back and listen and absorb all of this information. So it is recommended that every time you add content to your site for a while to open up this guide. Over time, it will become second nature, but if you've got it open in front of you, you're more likely to refer to it and make sure that you're sticking to the accessibility standards. Now, have a system in place for reporting accessibility issues to your accessibility director. If you're a smaller organization, this is probably pretty straightforward. You know who's dealing with it. If you're a larger organization, you might want to have a form that is set up to where any content creators, if they run into any issues about accessibility, they can send that information to their accessibility director. Or if your customer support gets contacted by somebody saying that they're having an issue with the website, we want to make sure that everybody in the company knows how to deal with um, um, a complaint or an issue that has been surfaced about the website regarding accessibility. And this also helps start building a culture of accessibility within the organization, which of course we want to happen. So what we're going to look at today is how to write accessible content, how to structure content on a page, about accessible color contrast, how to create accessible links and buttons, how to write accessible alt text for images, how to make videos and podcasts accessible, and where to find more about website accessibility if you want to dig in further. All right, let's talk about writing accessible content. Now, a lot of this is just standard good practice in this day of web design, but we really want to make sure we're using short blocks of text. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is it's just good user experience for everybody. But for some types of dyslexia, long blocks of text can make the text wave and be unreadable. For some types of ADHD with long blocks of text, might simply not be able to concentrate. Maybe someone has some memory issues or cognitive issues. Same thing, long blocks of text make it really hard to comprehend the information. All info should be clear and ambiguous. And this seems like it should go without saying, but sometimes people want to get a little bit cute with their language, which we want to have, but really for everybody, nobody's trying to figure out what you mean. Everybody wants it clear and unambiguous, whether you have a disability or not. Only use abbreviations if they've been previously defined. Leave white space between paragraphs and content blocks. Again, this is just good user experience for everybody. Too much crammed in there and our brains get overwhelmed. We want easily digestible information, which leads us into using bullet points when possible. That's long been a good practice, and it still is. Makes the brain really able to comprehend and access information easily. Okay, let's talk about structuring content with headings, the H tags. So there is the H1, which is the main topic of the page, and you only want to use one H1 per page. Now, if you don't want the H1 to be visible, you still should have an H1 on your page, but you can use the text as hidden. So it's on the code level so that a screen reader will read the H1, but it's not visible on the page. So you do want to have H1s on your page, visible or not. And then the H2s are the main headings for the content sections to split up the content and to organize it. I'm going to show you an example and it'll be very clear. And then H3s are subheadings of the H2s. So this is a content hierarchy. This is not stylistic, and I'll talk about that just in a second. That's where most people run into trouble with their H tags. We want to avoid H4 through H6 if possible. And so this is where people really get in a tangle. They use H tags because, let's say, the H2 is styled as big and bold and blue, and they want text as to look big and bold and blue. So they're using H tags stylistically. We don't want to do that. It's actually to break up and to structure content. We can style the text with CSS, but we use H tags for actual content structure. And the reason that is just like you and I, people that are using screen readers, they don't have the screen reader read content from the top left and read every page to the bottom right. We would all lose our minds if we had to do that. We scan the page for the content that we're looking for, and then we lock in and we read. Same with screen readers. Screen readers might be set to read just the H1 and the H2s until they get to the content they're looking for. Then they'll dig in and read. So that's why it's important that we allow that to happen by structuring the page correctly. So here's an example. The H1 is dog training basics. That's the main topic of the page. And then the two main subtopics are your H2s, principles of dog training, and then dog training techniques. And then you break down each one of those H2s with your H3 content. Color contrast. Okay, it's very important. This is a very important one. And there is a free contrast checker called WebAIMS Contrast Checker, and there'll be a link at the end of this that you can download, and there's a desktop app, or you can go straight on the website and use it. What's on the left here is their website version, and I'll show you how to use that. And AA is the standard that you need to achieve. AAA is great. It's a higher standard. It's not legally, right now, the legal standard tends to be AA. But if you want to then move towards AAA, fantastic. But really be focusing to start with on AA. So here's how you use this. You can choose this, you'll click on this, and it will bring up, this is a screenshot, so it's not live, so I can't actually do it, but it'll bring up a color picker, and you will choose the foreground color. In this case, the foreground color is the text, the color of the text. So you can see I've chosen that blue. The background color in this case is white, so I've chosen that. And we can see here, and again, we're looking at the AA for the moment. We can just ignore AAA. It fails for normal text size, and it passes for large text size. And if you scroll down the page a little, it's going to tell you what large text in normal text is. And the other thing you can do is you can move the slider. And as you move the slider, this will change to pass. It'll change to a green pass as soon as you hit the correct color contrast. It's a fantastic tool. I highly recommend that you download the desktop version if you're making any marketing or doing any design or adding content, that you keep this really handy. All right, let's talk about link and button text. Use meaningful link and button text when possible. For example, use read Tracy's bio instead of read more, or more about Lake Tahoe instead of click here. Again, if a screen reader is just having the links read and all it says is read more or click here, that is meaningless. So you don't have to have, a lot of times we do just want read more, right? Like on my blog page, I don't have read more about and then the whole blog title in the button every time. That would be massive. So I've put read more on the button. So visually that is what is seen, but it's read aloud by hidden text. I'll have read more about and then the title of the blog post. So again, you can set the text as hidden to make sure that it is reading correctly for screen readers and giving the information that they need. Images. We're going to add alt text to images except those that are purely decorative. And then, of course, the question always is, what is a decorative image? There is a decision tree that can help you decide that. It's the W3C alt text decision tree. There's a link to it at the end. And I give this example. We have a luxury resort that we do accessibility for. And on their amenities page, they have some images. They have an image of an infinity pool that looks out over the Pacific Ocean. As a sighted person, someone with sight, that image gives me information. There's this beautiful infinity pool that looks out over the Pacific Ocean. So that needs alt text. There's also a picture of their fully stocked bar that's right next to the pool. As a sighted person, that gives me information. That's not a decorative image. It gives imparts information. Then they have an image that's like a chaise lounge. It's a book that's lying open. It's a pair of sunglasses and it's a sun hat. That does not give me any information. That is purely decorative. And so we don't want to add alt text to that image. Think of it this way. If a screen reader, and that's used by somebody who has low vision or is blind, or if somebody has their images turned off on their systems because maybe they have low bandwidth, and they can see the alt text. We wouldn't want, if I were somebody using a screen reader, I wouldn't want it to read aloud Chase Lounge with a sun hat, with sunglasses and an open book. It's a waste of my time and it's meaningless. So think about, is it imparting information? And if you're not sure, use that decision tree. Alt text describes the essential image in an information, the essential information in an image, and it is a code level. It is not visible on the site itself unless somebody's has their images turned off, then the alt text is visible. But unless someone has their images turned off, it's not visible on the site. That's important to know. People always ask me, wait, every single image is going to have this, like sentence of text? No, it's on the code level. But without alt text, images are completely unavailable to someone who is blind or with low vision, or again, if they have their images turned off. We want them to be able to have that same information that somebody who is sighted has. Okay, I'm going to show you an example of this in a second, and it'll make sense, but here's how we add alt text. Use the subject, action, context of an image to describe it. The subject describes the focus of the image. The action says what's happening, what the subject is doing. The context describes the surrounding environment, that is where the subject is doing it. And do not include image of, because a screen reader will already read that, is already going to read that. So it would say image of if you include the words image of. So here's an example of good alt text. A German Shepherd dog standing at attention in a field of grass. The subject is the German Shepherd dog. The action is it's standing at attention, and the context it's in where it's in a field of grass. Now there's no exact science to alt text. I always say, what is the essential information? Some people throw in a whole bunch of description, like a brown and tan dog with prick ears standing facing left on grass with a fence in the background and some weeds. To me, that is too much. I don't want every image to have, a huge paragraph of description. I want the essential information. So use your best judgment, but do follow the standard subject, action, context. If you're using an AI image generator, make sure you're checking that A, that it's accurate, and B, that it's not. Sometimes I see these huge paragraphs of descriptions that are alt text. Think about if you're having a screen reader and every single image is reading this massive paragraph of text. Personally, I would lose my mind. Videos and podcasts. Okay, this is important. Have captions on videos and text transcripts for podcasts. Rev.com creates captions for videos and transcripts for podcasts. Now, YouTube will also create captions. It does not do a very good job very often. And it is not a great, I'm sure we've all been, watching a video and reading the transcripts, and there's something that just is utterly wrong. It's talking about something that isn't there. It throws in a word that you're like, what's going on? So you want to make sure that's not a great user experience for anybody, especially somebody who is deaf and is reading the content, the captions to understand the context of the video. And also think of it this way. It's a bad user experience for everybody. We all have our reading captions. Maybe somebody is sleeping next to us, so we have the sound turned off, or maybe we're on social and we don't have the audio playing, or we're in a loud environment or a quiet environment like a doctor's office, so we have the sound turned off. Let's create a better user experience for everybody by making sure our captions are accurate. This is very important. Any movement on a site, like animation or a video, that is longer than 5 seconds need to be able to be stopped by the user, needs to be able to be stopped. So there just needs to be a little play pause button added. And here's the reason for that. Movement can trigger some kinds of seizures. Some ADHD movement is going to be really distracting. Or for me, I don't actually have a disability, but I cannot concentrate if there's movement. I will either scroll past the movement, I will stop it, or I will leave that page. So you're creating a better user experience for everybody. Video's great, but we need to be able to stop it once we've enjoyed it, or at any point that it's no longer useful to us, so that we can then concentrate on the content of the page. Okay, what's next? The W3C offers an excellent self-paced introductory course on website accessibility. We suggest that your accessibility director take it, as well as anyone else wanting to be a part of assuring your digital content is accessible. It's really good, really informative, and really interesting. We always have ongoing contracts with our clients that include consulting hours or fixes for your accessibility violations, or maybe you want us to spot audit things or recertify your site is accessible. So you can always lean on us for any of your accessibility needs. Here are some links to dig deeper. Here is the contrast checker that we reviewed together. This is a link to that self-paced intro course on website accessibility. I highly recommend you check it out. If you want to go deeper into headings and page structure, the H tags, there's a link to that. Here is this decision tree, the alt text decision tree. I'm not sure if it should have alt text. Is it decorative? You can go through the decision tree. Here are the web content accessibility guidelines. This is really important. It's also, if you are an insomniac and you can't sleep, go there. Guaranteed to put you to sleep. It's pretty dang technical. Here's captions and transcripts. And then this is a really great site. Check this out. It's Understanding Accessibility, a tool for web designers. I think you'll enjoy it. So if you have any questions, as always, we are happy to answer. For the moment now, I'm going to say goodbye and happy content adding.